Hello everyone, my name is Annabelle Boyden-Kircher, and today I will be talking about pseudo archaeology. In this video, I will be talking a little bit about the Dendera light bulb, which I will be using as an example for today's video. So, what is pseudo archaeology? Pseudo archaeology is the spread of false information in archaeology. However, this can also include conspiracy theories and myths/stories. Some examples might include Atlantis or aliens. The example I will be using today is one that supports the idea that ancient Egyptians had electricity. The Dendera light bulb was first discovered by a Norwegian electrical engineer. This theory was then spurred on by authors such as Peter Krause and Rainer Habeck in their book Lights of the Pharaohs, as well as Eric von Daniken's book The Eyes of the Sphinx. While unable to get either of the books, I was able to find a few references such as this one. In The Eyes of the Sphinx, Eric von Daniken suggested that the snake represented the filament, the Djed pillar was an insulator, and the tube was in fact an ancient electric light bulb. The baboon was apparently warning that the device could be dangerous if not used correctly. This theory is often accompanied with a drawing of the carvings. However, these drawings usually leave out the hieroglyphs that give them context. The text next to the light bulb reads, "Speaking the words of our great God who dwells in Dendera, who emerges out of the lotus flower as a living Ba, whose completeness is elevated by the Kemetsu images of his Ka, whose Seshemu image is revered by the crew of the day barge, whose body is carried by the Djed pillar underneath his Seshemu image is the primal, and whose majesty is carried by the companions of his Ka. Gold, height, 1 cubit. While the text next to the anthropomorphic figure reads, "Your name is perfect as webway, your face is that of a toad. I have slaughtered your enemies with a knife, and I will follow your opponent in the place of execution." With these translations of the hieroglyphs by Egyptologist Dr. Wolfgang Weitkus, which was translated to English by archaeologist Carl Fagans, we can see that these carvings are not of a light bulb, but the image of an ancient Egyptian god, and the baboon is a symbol of protection. Despite the evidence against this theory, many still believe it. For example, electrical engineer W. Garn created a working model of the Dendera light bulb. This model, however, contained technology that was not around at the time of the construction of the Temple of Hathor, where the carvings are located. In fact, this technology would not be invented until nearly 2,000 years later. This is something we see often in pseudo-archaeology, creating something in order to say, "See? I can do it, so they must have been able to," but using new technology to do so. Another argument for this theory is that there is no soot on the ceilings of buildings like the pyramids, so they must have had lights in order to decorate the tombs. The simple solution to this is that they decorated and then put the roof on. But let's say that they didn't. They would likely use olive oil lamps, which were readily available and would leave little to no soot. So why does any of this matter? Like, who cares if people believe it, right? Let me phrase it to you like this. Imagine that you lived your whole life in a windowless room, and I told you that the grass was purple and the sky was red. You would probably believe me, because you would have no reason not to. You could go your whole life believing it, but the second you stepped outside, that image and that world would be shattered, and you would probably be pretty angry at me. In the end, the issue of pseudo-archaeology is that people tend to believe things that aren't true, simply because they have not seen any evidence to refute it. Another example of this is the lost city of Atlantis. Many believe it, even though it was a story written by the Greek philosopher Plato, and has no archaeological evidence to support its existence. In a 2018 study by Chapman University, quote, "Currently, the most common paranormal belief in the United States is that places can be haunted, 57.7%, follow closely by the belief that ancient advanced civilizations, such as Atlantis, once existed, 57.7%, end quote. People believing in facts because they haven't yet been shown otherwise is something we see not just in archaeology, but also in everyday life, such as the news, social media, and even from friends and family members. In order to lessen the spread of half-truths and false informations in your community, I encourage you to do your research and show it with those around you. Everyone has something that they are knowledgeable in, and if we all share that knowledge, we will all become more informed. If I've managed to interest you in this topic, I invite you to subscribe so that you can follow along with me as I go over more topics like this, as well as actual archaeology. I would also appreciate an interaction. Think of it like a tip. Any interaction will help me get out there for more people to see and to learn from. I want to thank you all for watching this video, and remember to dig just a little deeper, because you never know what you'll find.